minutes or so, if that works.
Fine.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another incredible episode of the Jim Gale Show. This is going to be a fantastic one. We got some good friends and partners on here with us today. But first, as always, my good friend, Mr. Jim Gale, great to see you, buddy. And I'm super excited to see you in person here in a few days.
Yes. Oh, man, I'm so glad that you're coming down. In how many days? Like 2 or 3 days?
I arrive on the 11th and I leave on the 15th.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm with you for four nights.
I love it. What is the date today? I am so
Today's
lost
the
in the food
7th,
court.
so I arrive on Sunday.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, my God, it's going to be fun. Well, things are so exponential right now. There's so many things happening at the same time. It's just a matter of being present and then just the next logical step.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting thing when we've got the solution to all the world's biggest problems. And I'm watching all these videos. I was just watching Tom Bilyeu. He had a guy on named Callie Means who was an insider, I believe, at Coke. And he was saying it's evil. What they do is they're destroying the health of humanity. And I love that this was on a show that is popular as Tom Bilyeu. So I posted a video for Tom in the food forest, inviting Tom to chat with us because we want to expose the solution. It's so joyfully simple. It's just a matter of getting mass adoption of it. So with Rick and Everett on, we're going to help that out. Right, guys?
You got it.
We hope so. That's our goal.
Let's do it. Yeah. So, guys, tell us a little bit about your background and what got you passionate about what you do.
Well, Rick, why don't you go first?
Sure, I'll go first. That's great. My name's Rick Langille. I'm the founder and CEO of Harvest Today, and I'm a Canadian farm boy. I grew up on a farm. We grew up growing food and just producing. Actually, I grew up on a pig farm. Sometimes people don't think that's really elegant, but ultimately we were a bacon factory. And I don't know about you, but I just think everything's better with bacon, right? So, but when we, that's where I grew up. That's my roots. And I have a degree from the University of Manitoba. I have an ag degree from there. And Jim, Matthew knows a little bit about this story. I actually had an electronics company here in Colorado for many, many years. And my wife and I tapped out. We just had enough and knew that we needed to do something different. So we went sailing. We actually got a boat and took off. We were gone for 5 years and sailed halfway around the world. And I knew when I got back, I wanted my legacy to be something so far beyond just being a sailor, just being a farmer. And as you guys can see, the Harvest Wall came from that, but it was really born out of that journey. Right? The reality of, you'd think that you'd pull into this magnificent tropical island, right? And you'd see these beautiful people, everybody's happy. But in fact, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, it's everywhere. And I'm like, we have to help people eat better, period. Oh. Right? And it was, so when we got back, 2018, 2019, that was when it started kind of mulling over in my brain. And 2020 came along and COVID, bam, right? So through the pandemic was when the Harvest Wall was created.
A lot of incredible businesses have been and are being created just in the last couple of years. It's such a motivator, isn't it?
Yeah, because if we don't take if we don't lead people and our friends in a more productive direction, it's like, why are we here? Exactly. And I just wanted to really feel more fulfilled in what I was doing. I thought I was retired, but that didn't turn out to be the case at all.
That whole thing's a myth. Retirement.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are, 3 years later, we got our patent issued a couple weeks ago. Everett and I have been just working our butts off to get the messages out. So we've got offices up in Canada. Matthew's met William, and the team up in Canada is just rocking it. So we're touching Hutterite colonies, Aboriginal communities. We've got a phenomenal distributor up in Yukon, in Whitehorse. Those guys are just amazing. But we're a community of like-minded people. We're all doing the same thing. So the story of the Harvest Wall came out of that, so that we could have this scalable approach and allow everybody, no matter what economic background you're coming from, no matter how big your room is, no matter what your goals are. The fact is, I want people to look at their plate and they can actually name what they're eating, and it doesn't have more than 5 ingredients.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. We were at Skills Canada event in Winnipeg last week, and I asked the kids, I said, can you actually name every single thing on an ingredient list of course, I was setting up the kids that came around with their Red Bulls, right?
Yeah.
That's a total setup. And I said, do you know the ingredients that are on that list? And I said, if you can't pronounce them, chances are you shouldn't be drinking it, right? And that was an interesting conversation. So I just think our goal here at Harvest Today is for people to grow food so that they can harvest it today and eat it today.
Yeah.
Right. That's literally, and allow it to be anywhere from an individual to, I can show you some pictures of the farm in St. Thomas down in the Virgin Islands. They are rocking it. Like, they have 25 of our harvest walls. They have 14,000 plants in a 2,500 square foot space. It's just gorgeous. It smells. Oh my gosh. I wish I had a smellometer. I could.
I know. I've often wished that as well. So Everett, tell us a little bit about your background. What gets you passionate about this? And then we'll dig into some of the details. I'm excited.
Sure. So streamlining my story, I was raised in a manufacturing family, my father, and we worked with industry folks like Caterpillar and Detroit Diesel, Purdue Chicken, CSX train lines and whatnot. Decided I didn't want any part of that and got an education in law that turned out to be useless to me because I was not going to be a good lawyer. And got out of that and got into business management, and did so through nutraceuticals, nutritional supplements, and dietary things. From that, I opened, my wife and I went back to my home area of West Virginia, and that is where we started a landscape business in a greenhouse. And so then my horticultural career was born. Came back to Florida after the recession, and was general manager of tomato farm and packing house here in Florida, and did that. That got me into agriculture and got me hooked. However, I'm too tall, too old, and too white to be in the fields of Florida. So looking at what I was doing long term during the pandemic, as well as you mentioned, the field work in agriculture is undergoing a massive shift. And I still have 20 years. I have 2 young kids that I need a viable career. And to do that in agriculture, as I was looking at indoor ag, even before the pandemic, just from a distance, during the pandemic, I got engaged. And it is, it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done to learn all this new technology. But hooking up with folks like Rick and Harvest Today, with their very simple, streamlined system that's able to produce massive amounts of food at a cubic foot footprint, it inspires me because that really speaks to my core. And I could go back to my grandmother in West Virginia, where I get this from, but it's this passion to feed people. Yeah. And that's really what drives me in this space. So working with other technologies as well, but the highly automated stuff, it just gets so complicated, and there's no way you can bring that so close to the plate like you can this. I mean, you can literally grow on your back wall here. So that's really what drew me to Rick and the team and their energy and the way they approach business. It was all a good match.
I love it. I do want to dispel one myth that you alluded to there about being in the field, slaving all day, growing food. That's a complete myth. It's absolutely untrue. But the opportunity that we have people calling us up many, many times a week saying, Jim, I live in a condo. Jim, I live in an apartment. Jim, I'm in an HOA and I can't grow food. This is a solution for many of those people. But back to the myth about it's hard to grow food. In my yard, I can walk out right now and it's no maintenance. I could walk away for 30 years and our food forest would it would be expansive to hundreds of miles, literally, because the birds will plant seeds and all that stuff. But right now I can go out and get massive amounts of food and it will take me 10 minutes and I'll have a major basket full of food. So instead of going to the grocery store, I just walk outside. Right? That's with proper design and install. So I had to dispel that one myth about slaving in the gardens.
Yeah, I'll clarify. That was in relation to commercial agriculture. So
yes,
you're talking about
you nailed
hundreds
it.
of acres of
commercial agriculture is horrible. It's absolutely ridiculous. But permaculture landscape, it goes along with what you guys do very, very well.
Yeah, we agree. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. So I got questions about diversity, and I've built quite a few systems, and I always had this idea of going into mass production. So to partner with you guys is beautiful because it's a lot of work, finding the manufacturers and getting the molds and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about that process.
It's a background, man. I believe you guys that we're all individually, as I look at this screen, I'm just so blessed to be part of this group because it is for such a time as this that we have been here through our, what I call the background of obviousness, right? Everything I look back at some of the years that I spent in manufacturing, all the work that I did to create the perfect handheld remote control, the molding and the electronics that go in it and all that stuff. It's like, if I didn't know that, the harvest wall wouldn't be what it is today, right? Wow. So, I do have a mold. This is one of our parts. This is the tile. So it's from this piece. But I also think about when I look at this silly thing, I think, man, thank goodness I got to play with Lego.
Yeah.
Right? Think of it that way, because that's literally how this thing goes together. So we can ship it and you click it together and you make a door and then all the hydroponics that work in the back here is part of it, but it's also part of exactly what you said, Jim, is that it's about plants, right? Yeah. So the plant grows in this little pot, right? Yeah. So we can actually grow the way plants were designed, the way seeds are supposed to be distributed by a bird or a worm or whatever. These plants grow with a true microbiome. It's not a bunch of only hydroponic. So the pumps don't have to run 24/7. The whole thing kind of comes together, and then you get like what Everett's got over his right shoulder there. You've got some of the best yummy kale you could ever eat, right?
Man.
So that's how it goes.
What's that pot? What is the current makeup of that little pot, that net pot?
This is not it. Well, yeah, it's not really, I don't call it a net cup. We call it cocoa cup. So it's
actually, that's great. It's way better than what we know of as net pots.
No, they're not. No. Anything that we have that actually grows plants are 100% compostable. We want to be able to do that. I'm even working on a PLA tile. So instead of it being true, plastic, which is what they're made of, ASA plastic. I want to get over to PLAs. So that's 100% compostable. So the wall, if you were to throw it into a landfill, 100 years from now, it'd be gone. Right. Those pieces of plastic right now, they're more like 1,000 years.
Right. So are you saying the current thing is a cocoa core mold?
No, the physical cup that the plants grow in, absolutely cocoa. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
The other ones, we're also partnered with Jiffy. So, Jiffy is the largest hydroponic or horticultural company in the world. In their peat cups. So you can use both. The peat cups are a little bit more dense. So they actually have slots in it. So to get the right, because the microbiome is growing through the irrigation of the plant, it irrigates, it drains. it irrigates, it drains. And that's what allows us to continue to replenish the nutrient solution. And that's why the plants, I could actually run out and grab one off the wall right now and show you the roots really don't come out of the cups, okay? Because it's designed to get enough. The plant gets more than enough from this little cup, and the plants come out beautifully from here.
Wow. So you're saying the roots don't go down and fill up the, wow. See, I've had the tower garden, and I mean, every little bit I have to cut off the roots because it's massive root system in there.
Yeah. So go ahead, Everett.
And that's because of the way you're feeding the plant. So in a tower garden or conventional vertical hydroponics, you're constantly feeding the plant water and nutrients 24/7 in most cases.
Yeah.
And so those roots keep stretching to get the nutrition that they need.
Yeah.
Whereas by condensing it into that media in the harvest wall and the cocoa core, you're able to give the roots everything they need right there, and they don't have to grow out, and they don't want to grow out because they don't need to. They don't need to stretch, and they'll produce more energy into their foliage or flowers or whatever it is that we're growing, and it actually yields a quicker crop than it would from a conventional, just a streaming hydroponic type of system. So
that makes sense.
That's the benefit from it. And now here comes Rick with the lettuce and the roots to show you.
Look at this. Isn't that beautiful?
Is that a bok choy?
Nope. Romaine lettuce.
Romaine. Wow. My phone picture is too small. That's beautiful, man. Look at that.
Yeah. There's the pot.
And so you can see the root hairs just peeking out of the cup there, right?
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the growth. That's the growth cycle.
Yep, this is a growth cycle. So my wife is in charge of all of our plants. As you can see, she does an amazing job, right? Yeah. This plant's only this has been in for a while. Yeah. But you can take this and harvest it around here. And as you can see, it just keeps growing. Right?
What is that? 40 days, 35 days?
This one's probably 40, right? Yeah. But as you can see, it's incredibly healthy. We have just some small lights on it. There's not a lot of energy going into it, but there's enough, right? So we're not trying to grow it commercially. Yeah. So for the purpose of a food forest, you don't have to pound it with tons of light. Right. But you do have to give it some, okay? And ultimately, as you can see, this plant couldn't be more healthy.
Oh, it looks crisp.
Oh, it is. And it even smells good, right? But the nutrient density, when you actually had a really interesting something happen the other day, you guys. We were headed up to Canada, and I typically eat a salad and just a piece of protein or something. That's what we eat virtually every day. But we went to a restaurant. We were driving up. We were going through Bismarck, North Dakota. So I had a salad and piece of chicken on it. And it was just from romaine lettuce that came from distribution, right? It just came through the cell, through distribution. Yeah. The next morning I woke up, I was hungry. And I'm like, wow, really? Because when we eat the food off of the wall, or that's been grown in it's been harvested and eaten, the nutrient density, like the food, you're satiated. You actually don't have to eat that much. But the next morning I woke up when I was driving north, and I hadn't realized it for a while. I was hungry. Yeah. And I ate the normal same stuff, right? I don't eat a whole bunch of salad dressing and all the sugar and all the crap that goes on it, right? I just eat the salad because it actually tastes good, right? Yeah. And I just wish there was some way we could really communicate that clearly.
We are right now.
So,
I love these systems. So can you show us the back of that system again, the back of your plastic? And then how does the water, because it's all about water flow and bringing nutrients to the right spots.
Yeah.
So what makes it so that the roots do not have to reach down? It looks like there's
that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. Okay.
So the water's coming in from that funnel at the top. You see that?
Yeah.
And then it's gonna saturate each cup as it trickles down.
Goes down over the pallet to the next one here. You see there's a little edge here. This is so I can show you guys this and be confident because our patent is issued. So this was a lot of work to make sure that the irrigation was properly. Now, we will only make a harvest wall 5 tiles high or 15 plants tall, right? Because if we go a little taller, even Everett at 6'2" can't reach the plants, and we want it to be safe to plant and to harvest the stuff. When these are 5 tiles high, we get really good consistent irrigation top to bottom, okay? When we go a little taller, they start to get drier. So we have to run it too much, which means the top ones, a little wet, the bottom ones, a little dry, right? So 5, we've cut it off there. That's as high as it goes, and we get really good consistent results, right?
And all that can be controlled from the wall, because the climate that I grow in, even in Florida, indoors, way more humid than it is out in Colorado, where Rick is, where our R&D farms are at. Yeah. So he's going to water his farms longer, more often than I ever will. I will water mine 30 seconds a day, and I'm done. And that's all programmed.
30 seconds a day. Wait. That's a big deal. What did you just say? How much will you water yours?
30 seconds a day in South Florida.
Yeah.
And okay, so in 30 seconds, it saturates that enough where there's enough liquid in there so you don't have to keep doing it every hour.
Right. As it develops and gets more mature, I might be at 30 seconds twice a day, or maybe 3 times a day if it's really a specific crop. But the worst thing you can do in Florida is oversaturate a crop. It just kills it every time. So in Colorado now, he's going to have to do a minute of watering, and he's going to have to do it 3 times a day, perhaps. I mean, he can speak to that. But the difference in locality and your air quality and what you're getting out of your air, it's all manageable through this wall. It's not turn it on and you're done, or it just keeps streaming water. We need to facilitate a way to water the way the plant needs where it's at.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, the one that we've got here, you guys, my wife has got it scheduled. She's got it running 4 times a day, 4 times a day for a minute.
Whoa! So every 6 hours for 1 minute does the whole job.
Yep.
The amount of energy that goes into that is nothing. I mean, it's minuscule.
Yeah.
Right.
4 minutes of a pump a day.
Yeah. And here at the office, we've had it running for quite a while. We have a full dosing system. So we have a 50-gallon nutrient solution tank hooked up to our friends from Blue Lab. We're partnered with Blue Lab out of New Zealand. So if somebody wants to take a farm and make it as automatic as possible, we absolutely do that. So we can set you up with a dosing tank. We can teach you how to make your nutrient concentrations so that the pump monitors the pH and what's called EC, right? Electroconductivity. So we use salts to actually be able to measure the amount of nitrogen, NPK.
Yeah.
Right? So it's through the dosing system. We monitor temperature, we monitor pH, and we monitor nutrient solution. Okay. That is in this dosing system that we have here. And all my wife does, Brenda just keeps it full and make sure that there's enough concentrates in it, and it does it all automatically.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, as a contrast, the systems that I've used before, they were 5 to 15 minutes every hour, and the root systems hung down sometimes 2 or 3 feet, and I'd have to cut them off every once in a while. It was still an efficient system, but it sounds like yours is way more efficient.
Well, let's think of it this way. If a plant is growing using that much energy to grow that root mass, right? What's it doing? It's looking for more information, right? Our system is designed around this little itty bitty pot. It doesn't need to be very big. And the microbiome is truly the way the plants were created to allow that transfer. It's called root exudates. So in other words, there is an exchange of information of nutrients, water, micronutrients, trace minerals that get that information or that the nutrients up into the edible part of the plant, right? Our system grows edible parts, not roots.
That's fantastic. Matthew,
Yeah.
go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I just love that concept. When I saw William share this stuff in one of the groups on Facebook, I was like, I knew I got to talk to these guys because we're looking for a great solution, and this just looked like it was one. So I'm thrilled with it. And one question that, as I've been talking about this to other people, one question that often comes up is around the controlling the humidity in the house, or like what tools are necessary in order to help with that part.
So if you're indoors and you already have an AC system set up, you're going into an office, or my walls in my office. I don't control the humidity. I have to adapt how often I water because of the humidity in the air. But if you have a standard AC system, the only thing that excess humidity that will lead to is possible fungal outbreaks and different diseases that love an incubator, system. But that's for greenhouse management, and we can work with that. But that's not a residential issue typically.
I'd like to stack onto that, Everett. It's not only not a residential issue, but the plants are not only beautiful and functional and edible, but they are air filters. Yes. And as the water goes through the plants, they are water filters. So the humidity that's in the house, if you need humidity is a thing that balances itself based on the environment. So it's good humidity. It's like I
think a lot of times when people ask that question, they're often thinking about maybe marijuana growing in these big operations in the houses that are causing issues, right? They don't have the concept of what they're actually talking about. They've heard something from somebody that growing can cause humidity issues. So it's
in an industrial and commercial way, that's true. Like the farm in St. Thomas, there is a dehumidifier, but we're taking that water back out of the air and reusing it for the system.
I got to show you this, you guys. That's the farm. That's the farm in St. Thomas, right? You guys, the wall, it's just green. It's amazing. And when you look down the farm, I got a picture here of George, he's just a super sweet guy. I just love him. He's a great guy. There it is. Oh, which way you go? There it is in St. Thomas. That's like 50 feet long. Right?
That's epic. And it's so beautiful. It's so, everybody who sees that says, oh my gosh. So a couple questions I have about details. Nutrients. What nutrients? How do you create your blends and so on?
So there's really, it's to the client's preference, right? We have favorites that we use, and they're hydroponic nutrients. Yeah. We also have a very powerful partner with Hydrobio that helps create a microbiome almost out of thin air in the way they do it. Forget where they're out of. Rick will remind us, but they're overseas, and they have this potion that you put in your water, and you have to be careful what you're doing, because you can burn your plants very quickly with the Hydrobio if you just add it into your nutrient solution like nothing's different. You have to really adjust it down quite a lot. But standard hydroponic nutrition works just fine. You want to get one that's balanced, one that you're using for your crop. If you're raising lettuce or strawberries, or there's going to be some nuances and differences there. And then you also want to get one that has a very good wide range of micronutrients that are engaged in it. And we have some favorite brands that we talk to clients about. But at the end of the day, once you start growing and once you get used to what you're doing, you're going to start wanting to see what else is on the market and what you can use, and if you can make your own and all those things.
Now, you just hit on something so important and profound, making our own, right? We make compost tea here. Mm-hmm. And of course, the compost tea we make is way more dense with nutrients than what we would do in one of these systems, because we put it on soil and it goes in and it dilutes by itself, by the nature of the process. So with your system, we could help teach people how to make their own compost tea if needed. It sounds like.
Absolutely, you could. Compost teas are complex, as you well know, and you have to really monitor them very well. The most expensive thing that I've used, which I actually like, it's a product out of Italy, and I'll literally use, Jim, a tablespoon or less. It's more like 3 teaspoons for 5 gallons every week. That's all I need.
Wow.
And because it is, but it's concentrated, it's condensed. So if you're using your compost teas in your condensed phase, it's just dilution. That's all. So
Exactly.
you just want to use less.
Yeah.
And I would welcome you to play around with it. But every compost tea is different depending on what you're using.
Right. Yeah, you got to be really, really careful with it. And then you've got this kind of fundamental conversation you have to have is, do I want it to be 100% organic, or are you okay with non-organic nutrient solutions? So we are using a non-organic here at the office.
Yeah.
Axe. They're out of Pennsylvania. They've been in the industry forever. I would suggest they're fine, but it's just, what do you want to do? I really don't feel that it's really that impactful, but I love we've had lots of growers that just make their own compost tea. The other one is worm castings. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. We've been playing around with that, but I want to go back to the humidity thing that you brought it up. I have one more little point I wanted to bring up, and that was in our home here in Colorado. I actually built a controlled room. Okay, so we have about 500 plants in a 10 by 12 room. I put in a countertop with a sink. So we can process food, we can harvest stuff, we can seed stuff. We have a little seedling area. So we have lights in the seedling area, and then we've got these walls. And in that room, we absolutely do have dehumidification.
Yeah.
So again, that speaks to VPD, so vapor pressure deficit. When we get into a controlled environment, we want it's the same as outside. When they talk about climate zones, when you're growing, this particular plant grows best in this climate zone. You guys know all about that. So, but we can create the same thing in a room, okay? And that's what we've done. I've done that in my house. You've got a mini split over your left shoulder there, Jim. I did the same thing in my room, so I can control temperature. I can control humidity. Of course, I've got a wonderful app, and all my lights are all they're all scheduled on an app. And then we've got dehumidification. We use no pesticides. We are using some organic nutrient solutions there, so we don't have an auto dosing system there. But it's just, how deep do we want to go? Or how about this? How do we want to incrementally increase the amount of food we can produce ourselves, right? You don't have to jump in and spend $10,000 and build a room. You don't have to do that at all. Right? You can, a couple $1,000, you can get a really good system big enough for your family, or you can build out a room, and we can certainly help you do that. It's just how much work, how committed are we, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then too, as you expand, some things we have in the pipeline that I'll just touch on, and then we'll go back to your questions, is in the pipeline when we talk about more community-based food, shipping containers. That's obviously something that's been put together for us with these walls. And working with a partner out of Canada, building modular farms that are delivered. You do have to erect the walls that come all stacked together, and but it's modular scalable. So if I need to feed a community and not just my family, we have solutions for that too. And so that's in the pipeline. And anybody that's engaged in city planning or community development here in Florida, we have a lot of PUDs. Planned urban developments, and so these modular farms are going to be more and more necessary to get food close to the plate as possible.
Yeah.
We got a question from actually Lori Richardson. She's one of our Freedom Farm Academy owners in Arkansas. She's wondering what happens if the power goes out or you're in an apartment building or a house when that happens.
So it depends on for how long.
Yeah.
So in my region, we had Hurricane Ian come through, right? We had lost power for 8 days.
Wow.
My farm was toast. All I had to do was clean it up, replant it, and go again. If it goes out for 48 hours or less, when that power comes on, you just reset everything and you're off and running. It may knock things back, and you'll see some wilting, but they'll bounce back. So it really depends on the length of time the power's out.
I've got another
Solar
thought on that.
generators are the new offering.
Generators are fine. We're looking at different off-grid technologies: solar, wind, hydrogen.
The portable solar generator.
Yeah.
So I've got another thought on that too. 1 minute a day, you could go in, you could grab the nutrients from the bottom and pour them on the top, and you're done. It's
Exactly what I was going to say. It's that simple.
It's
Yeah.
that
Do that too.
Yeah.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right? Or is the invention?
It is. But it depends on your climate too, because in Florida in the hurricane season, indoors it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
That blows you away. And you're too busy trying to clean everything up and make sure everybody's okay and your neighbors are fine and all the rest of it. But you're right, Jim. You can just grab some water, and we've done that for some schools. So we're in a lot of different classes, K through 12 and FFA, Future Farmer of America programs throughout the United States. And inevitably, when they start, they want to start before they can start, right? So they get the wall, they throw it in, they put stuff on, and they're like, oh, we got to plug it up. There's no plug where we put it or whatever. Right. And until they get that fixed, that's what they do. They take a water jug and they just pour water in the flood rail, and they start growing. So it's absolutely a manageable process.
Yeah, but that's cool. I got one more thing. The harvest wall is 24 volts. Okay. So if you were to lose power, and if it was over a period of time, all you'd have to do is put two 12-volt batteries in series, and you'd have 24 volts, and you could power the pump. So if you had to hot wire a harvest wall, you could absolutely do that. But to Everett's point, all you really need to do is take the nutrient solution, and you could put it in the flood rail, fill it up, and do that a couple times a day, and you'd be good until your power came back.
I love it. So let's talk diversity of plants. How many plants have you been able to grow in your harvest wall?
Wow.
So the list that we recently worked on was 47 different plants.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can you name some of them? Because that's where people start connecting to what they eat in their diet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, what can be grown and what can be harvested? So let's parse that. What can be grown and harvested is 47 plants. What can be grown is really infinite, in that if I want a squash start, or I want to get my watermelon started early and give them a real good boost, get my tomatoes going, throw them in the wall. Let them grow. Let them get really lush and nice before you transplant them outside. They're in a biodegradable cup. You just put them in the soil and off you're running. Tree seedlings for redevelopment of your forests, whatever the situation is, the harvest wall is very versatile. Now, if I'm harvesting crops, I'm looking at all sorts of leafy greens, right? All sorts of lettuces, kales, chards. I just lost everything out of my head for leafy greens. Herbs that span from cilantro to basil to tulsi, holy basil, medicinal herbs, lavender, chamomile, borage. You can go into strawberries. You can go into edible flowers like we have here on the wall. I don't know if you want me to keep going, but the list is growing as we keep growing our business as well, to understand what is viable for us. Even you mentioned marijuana. There are some cloning operations that use this wall, and there are some genetically smaller plants that are very viable in this wall and very productive. So it's coming. And there's research now into small dwarf blueberry bushes that could fit in our 3-inch spot instead of our 2-inch spot.
Yeah, when someone buys a wall, do they get a list of what's been successful so far?
They just ask us, and we'll we'll give them that list.
And we're pushing a whole bunch of information up onto the website all the time, Matthew. So it's there. It's growing. There's the other, it's the Nike kind of approach, you guys. There's no finish line. There's just no finish line. So
that's beautiful. Well, what I'm going to use mine for mostly, not only the function and the beauty, and also we as entrepreneurs, we receive a commission for selling harvest walls, and so do all of our partners, right?
Absolutely.
That's right.
I love that.
We're here to succeed together. Absolutely. The other thing I want to go back to another point that you brought up. So you got my brain going here, Jim. It's great. One of the things that we've approached during the engineering of the harvest wall was because we're farmers. This isn't nothing's perfect. Everybody's going to be able to. They're going to have a different approach. They're going to do something different. They're going to break stuff. Do they have to come up? They have to come back to us to get parts. The answer is no. It's actually been deliberately engineered to be able to go to Home Depot and get whatever you need right away and get back growing, because we don't want to hurt our plants. We want our crops to be consistently healthy and growing and just vigorous. We don't want people to depend on, they've got to get back to Jim and Matthew over at Food Forest Abundance or get back to Harvest Today to get a part. Not the case at all. In fact, that's kind of our corporate DNA, because I know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just tired of these subscription models. I just, if you buy something, it's like they're always bugging me. I got money. No, that's not what we're here for. We're here for a different purpose. And ultimately, we've made it so that people, if something breaks or they need to get a new pump or something like that, the pumps are actually available internationally at every single marine store around the world. You don't have to come back to us for it. We'll probably sell it to you cheaper. But my point is, that's kind of our corporate DNA. We just want to enable people to grow food, and they don't have to come back to us. I think our network of knowledge and the massive knowledge that we've got to be successful in growing a huge variety of plants is growing. Ryan, I'm gonna plug Ryan Wright, Wright. He is the president and owner of New Leaf up in Calgary. He has done an unbelievable job. Like, he is the most accomplished grower I've ever met. And he's got harvest walls. He says this is the only way he's going to do it moving forward. And what did he say yesterday, Everett? He's got tomatoes growing very successfully. He just got some dwarf varieties of blueberries. So the other thing that we've done, and I didn't get a chance to show you guys. In fact, I was going to take it apart yesterday and I didn't.
Yeah, you know what? I've got a group of people out. I do have to fly right now, but I just want to share one thing. And then you guys can keep talking with Matthew.
Yeah, I'll stay
but
on.
I'm going to use mine a lot for starts, because you nailed it. It's so great for starting plants this way at scale, because they're going to get the nutrients that allow them to beef up very much more quickly. So love what you're doing. Thank you. I've got to run, but keep doing it. And I'm excited to have my own harvest wall and show the world. It's going to be beautiful.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jim. See you later, buddy.
See you.
Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, let's keep this going. Great stuff. And Lori is she's in, so we got a harvest wall sold here today. Well done.
Cool. Well, the next thing I wanted to bring up, Matthew, was that this is the 2-inch cup. We have completed the engineering of a 3¼ cup. Okay. We've been testing it here in the wall, here at the office, and the just to watch the comparison of the way the plants grow, and I think it's going to really expand our varietals. We're going to be able to grow some different, like, I think a little bit more mass when we think about like a cucumber plant or something like that. Yeah. Because we have a T slot everywhere on the assembly, so that we can actually put the T slot in a bar out and a trellis, so that you can actually support really large vining plants.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. So, like, all I keep thinking about as a Canadian is how perfect these things are for us to grow during that season when obviously we're not doing it outside.
Right.
And what a great solution this is for everybody in that northern hemisphere climate, where they've got the 4 seasons, and the wintertime really shuts production down in a big way. And what this will do to change that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we could take that to the opposite side of it too, is that we go into environments where it's just too hot. You just flat can't grow lettuce. You can't grow arugula. And that picture that I showed you, and I apologize, when I put my phone up to my camera, it went blurry. So that's why I was busy goofing around with my camera to get it back focused. But the ability to have of the varieties of food that we would normally just look at your plate and see, this is what I want to eat. Everett, or not Everett, Ryan, I'm sorry. Ryan is actually growing onions in the wall. Yeah, and he's got Brenda's got some radishes growing in the wall right now. So when you think about it, the varieties are just going to grow and grow and grow. And I think
yeah.
And
Baby
then
carrots.
too, indigenous communities are looking at their own. What do they call them? We'll call them heirloom varieties in the market that we are in. They call them ancestral varieties.
Yeah.
And they keep those very close to the vest. That you don't really know what they're growing. They're a legume or they're a tuber or whatever, but the actual breed you're not aware of because they're ancestral stuff. They're trying different things because their climates are changing in ways that hasn't been in their history for thousands of years. So this is a very broad and expansive project that we're on and journey that takes us in different directions. We get to meet all sorts of different people. It's just it's a wonderful everyday thing to wake up and say what's going to happen today. So there's that, and I'll go back to Rick's point about off the shelf, right? You can go get whatever you need off the shelf. Coming from the sales lens, we offer kits too. We offer grow kits. They're not proprietary. They're off the shelf. But if you just want the convenience of getting something every 3 months, we do that. No problem. Whatever the client needs, right? We want to make sure that you're growing in the most seamless way possible and that fits your lifestyle. And if that means that you want to go and make your own compost teas and create your own mediums and do all these other things, have at it by all means. But if you just want something that's turnkey and that you have very little brain power involved, we're that place too. This is what drew me to this type of CEA growing, is that this is so versatile and it can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. That's really quite gravitating, especially with the climates that we see moving all over the globe and how hard it's going to be going forward to grow what we're used to growing in the spaces that we grow them.
Yeah, Lori brought up some great ideas here, the nursing homes and the schools. And, you just imagine every classroom in a school had their own large harvest wall and grew enough food to feed those kids on a daily basis.
Can I take 2 minutes to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the school systems, what we're seeing is when we grow food in the class, and that means when I say in the classroom, it's not because it's just, we're an indoor product and therefore we're promoting indoors, but it's visually every day they're reminded there's a crop there.
Yeah.
And when that, and studies have been done with government and, NGOs and private industries that are in the hydroponic space, when you're growing in the class, and I believe the study that specifically it's hitting my head was a fourth grade class, perception of fruits and vegetables went up 40% 48, 47. Consumption of fresh vegetables at home went up 33%. There's no other campaign that has had that type of results in less than 30 days. And
so logical.
If you're able to put that in a classroom, and these are absolutely classroom adaptable, we have them all over the country in classrooms. In fact, we just got through with our last, because of the school system here in the U.S., everything's winding down. We just got our last wall out to our last school last week. So there was a big push at the end of the year after budgets are approved and all the rest of it. But just to say, the classroom is extremely powerful. We're exciting kids about agriculture, which is what we have to do moving forward. Our society has become so disconnected from where its food comes from that it just, we as a population, we don't understand the crisis that we've set up, the potential crisis that we've set up. And so getting these kids sparked not only their interest, but their ambitions, and knowing that whatever their skill set is, they have a place in agriculture. That's powerful.
Well, and it's so fascinating how the simplistic solution of growing food locally combats at least 3 of the largest problems that we face today. And still no governments are out there talking about it. Now we know why, we understand why, but you think about it, we've got pandemics, we've got climate change issue, we have food security issue. Growing food locally changes the impact on all of those. We know the healthier you are, the less impact a pandemic will have on you. The local grown food will reduce the cost and the amount of fuel that's being used to ship shit all around the world, impacting our climate. It's such a logical, simple thing to do, and it should be something being talked about everywhere, but it's not. Thankfully, we're doing that. You're doing that. All of the people who are associated here with Food Forest Abundance, the Jim Gale Show, Freedom Farm Academy, everybody is sharing this message and it's gathering steam. But it's such a simple thing, right? We know that if everybody is doing just a little bit, it changes everything. Everybody just doing a little bit, provide some food for your own family, then that eases the burden on the existing food supply system. So what's in the grocery store now can last longer to impact the people who maybe can't grow the same way. We've got great solutions here, and I love what you guys have put together, which I'm so thankful that we've been able to form a great partnership with. Based on time, anything else you guys want to cover right now that you think is really pertinent and important?
We could keep going for hours, buddy. Let's just commit to doing this one more. Like, keep doing this. Like, this is a conversation that's got no finish line. So we can't even begin to start talking about health and health benefits, and just how about this mental clarity? Let's just talk about that, right? There's just so much more to this conversation, but to be able to enable more people to just grow their own food, that's who we are. That's why we're here. And to be partnered up with you guys it's natural. This was supposed to happen.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, any last words from you, Everett?
No, just keep growing. Whether it's growing your knowledge, growing your own food, growing as personal development, whatever it is, just keep growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, those are excellent words to wrap this up. Completely in alignment with us. Keep growing. And the abundance is all around us. Let's just tap into it. So thank you, gentlemen, for everything you're doing. Thank you for teaming up with us. Thank you for joining on the show today. And we're going to get this into the hands of a lot of people. Both you guys are strategically as well as us. And together we'll make a much greater positive impact. And it's extremely exciting to see where this is headed.
Very cool. Thanks so much for having us on, Matthew. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Wish you guys an incredible day. And thank everybody for tuning in. You guys are welcome to actually just hop off.
Okay.
For now, I'll play a couple ads and let everybody go.
See you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you again for tuning in to another incredible episode of the Jim Gale Show. If you are loving what you saw there today with the harvest wall and what it can do for you and your family, your community, anybody you know who's living in a condo or an apartment or a small space that doesn't have the area to grow outside, or just wants to take more advantage of the ability to grow inside, the harvest wall is a perfect product for that. They're utilizing soil, which is fantastic because now you've got this healthy microbiome in the soil, which is helping to grow healthier plants, which ultimately produce healthier food. And that microbiome in the soil obviously is very closely connected to the microbiome in us. So it's a perfect scenario. And with the way the harvest wall is set up, you can actually really leverage small spaces to produce a lot of food and ultimately nutrients for you and your family. So if you guys are loving what you saw there, you can go to that website, harvest.today/food-forest-abundance, and learn a little bit more about what's going on there and see how you can get started growing your own food at home utilizing this. And you can even, think larger. What community can you help? Do you have a church or a school or nursing homes or anything like that, where even hospitals should be growing their own food, restaurants, all kinds of stuff? The options really are limitless, and huge potential there. So reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We've got a couple ads to play here quickly, and then we'll let you be on your way.
At Weston A. Price Foundation, we're dedicated to restoring nutrient-dense, farm-fresh foods to the human diet. We look to ancient food and health practices for clues on how to live our healthiest, most vibrant lives today. Join the mission and check out our exclusive membership details at westonaprice.org. As a member, you'll receive our quarterly journal on wise traditions in food, farming, and the healing arts, our annual shopping guide, monthly access to private Q&A sessions with experts, consultations on state laws, regulations, and policies, including food freedom legislation, and so much more. Weston A. Price Foundation. Let's return to wise, traditional foods.
And as always, thanks to our partner over at Food Forest Abundance. If you'd love to learn about growing food utilizing permaculture, learn about what's possible for you and your own property, learn about how to work with nature and grow with the way nature has intended to create abundance through massive diversity, you can head over to foodforestabundance.com today and book yourself a free 30-minute strategy session with a certified permaculture designer. This is a great way for you to invest some of your time with an expert who knows about how to grow utilizing this science of permaculture, permanent agriculture, how to do so in your particular climate zone, the native plants that are great for that environment, and how to do a design. They'll have a great knowledge base for you, and you can ask lots of questions to really help you get a great understanding of what's possible. So head over to foodforestabundance.com today, book yourself that 30-minute strategy session right there, and they look forward to helping you. That being said, thank you so much again for joining us on another incredible episode of the Jim Gale Show. We look forward to seeing you again here real soon. Have an amazing day. The show is officially over.